那很好。
这是 live stream got it. Okay. Yeah.
好，这是 Emily。
我们在另外一个 Zoom. Somehow we're me and Jane and Mary were in another Zoom.
Because that's a Zoom that Eventbrite put in.
But here we are. 现在我们是对的。
Emily。
我们在另外一个 Zoom. Somehow we're me and Jane and Mary were in another Zoom. 好的，大家好。I'll be today's your host, lecturer later. 我是今天的老师。我们看到有Thomas， 刚刚我们听到对不对？我们看到 Mary 和 Terry。我们看到 Ronnie。Ronnie 你好。
你好。
这是你的第一个 Ghost 的活动，对不对？ This is your first Ghost event。
对。Yes。
我们看到有欢迎方我们有 Liz 老师我们有 Mariana。你好 Mariana。然后我们有 Jane， 我们又见面了。上次你来参加我们汉字课的活动，对不对？This
is my second event。
对，很好。然后我们看到有 Larissa。你好 Larissa。Shana 你好。
嗨，你好。
好久不见 Shana。我们还有谁看看有更多的人加入。好，我们在的人David 来了欢迎 David。我们在的人我有一点小问题。I have two warm up questions for you。我们有2个 warm up questions 我们来看一下第一个是compared to English, do you find Chinese grammar simpler or more difficult？ 就比起英语的语法，你们觉得中文的语法是更简单还是更难第二个是 What are the biggest challenges you faced while learning Chinese grammar？ 你们在学习汉语语法的时候有遇到最大的困难、最大的挑战是什么你们可以说，你们可以 speak out the answers loud， 或者你们可以打 or you can type in the chat box。
So I'm still pretty new to learning Chinese. This is like I'm on my 5th lesson. So it's all very difficult right now. But I think overall probably English is harder, but I already know English. So for me it's easier and Chinese is harder, but I think in general probably English is a little bit harder.
太好了你觉得 Chinese is easier, right? So let's give you all the confidence.
Not easier for me. Harder for me though.
Shannon, I feel the same way too. I mean, I speak English, so although I know English, I believe Chinese grammar is easier. The biggest challenge is the placement. I don't know, we're thinking in English.
Yes.
非常好 Okay, great. That's the first thing I'm going to adjust today, actually. So I'm so happy you two mentioned it. Ronnie 也是有3个人。好的 So let's see if Chinese grammar is actually easier or more difficult than English. 还有我看到有别的人说什么我看到有Sergio 说 grammar simpler, writing much harder. 汉字 much harder 是不是？那need to review our the 汉字 workshop。你看了吗？你参加了吗？然后我们看一下 Larissa 说什么 I do not think Chinese grammar is easier than English grammar, but overall English grammar is 是什么 Overall English grammar is harder. A word order in the sentence. 非常好 word order 或者是 sentence placement the section placement like Jane said. 对that's what we're going to talk about the second part as well. 所以很好 We think alike.
There's somebody in the other room. Her name is Denise, and she said she clicked on the link in the Eventbrite, but there's no one there in the room. She's in the other room. Remember, we're in the other room. My friend's in the other room.
Okay, so can you send her the last one? I'll send you the. Then can you post the last? Can you post in the chat? Let's Zoom link. Yeah. 好，谢谢
哦
Michael 老师啊，谢谢。
The Zoom. How
Yeah,
does she get?
like you're somehow create
It's in my email. How do I do it?
Can you copy? Can you copy from chat? And then
My-
paste
to
in
my
the other
e-
chat?
Oh, let me see if I can open it. Hold on. Okay, let me go to my email. Let me see if I can go to my email.
我们看看有其他人来了，对不对？欢迎一下 ，Let's welcome the other participants。我们有 David， 欢迎你 David。Grant 你好。
你好，你好。
我们还有 Lee， 对不对？Lee， 还有 Mira， Mira 也很多次。Happy to see you again, Mira. So we have some warm up questions. Like those two. So the one who joined, you can speak out or type box 都可以。
这个是 Thomas， 有的时候我想中文比英文还容易，有的时候这是反对的，所以就是我不知道，我不能回答。
Thomas 刚刚说了，有的时候觉得中文怎么样啊
？Bridges, oh my gosh.
好的，好，Thank you for everyone's participation 谢谢大家给我的问题做了回答。So let's really get started on today's workshop. So again, welcome everyone to Goi's weekly workshop. So we did a lot in the past, and we have a lot of more events coming. And let me introduce myself first. Some of you may have known, my name is Emily Wang Rong. I am one of the very first 3 teachers who founded GoEast 11 years ago. So it's my great pleasure here to see all of you, like some of our students, some are prospective students, some are older students, and even we have a few teachers here. So it's really, really my honor to do this with you today. And join us today, there are also our teacher, Michael, who will help me to answer questions. Michael, can you say hi? 你可以跟大家打个招呼吗 ？Michael 老师。
你们好，我是 Michael。
Also, we have our community manager, Dan 老师。He will also help me to answer questions. Dan 老师你在吗？
你们好，我在。
So during the whole workshop, feel free to raise your hand or type your questions in the chat box. So either me or Dan or Michael 老师 will make sure to answer the questions for you. So you will get your personal feedback. 好的。So today we have 3 parts I want to share with you. So first, we're talking about some conceptions from our practice, we will call it misunderstandings. So we'll adjust them. And so to give you a better understanding of the big picture of Chinese grammar. So you will know how to get started better, more efficiently. And next, we'll introduce beginner level. Okay, we'll introduce some beginner level principles. So every of you can join. So Shauna, don't worry, it will be like right for you. Okay, it's for this part. And the third, we'll discuss methods that you can use to effectively learn Chinese grammar. So it doesn't matter if you're a total beginner or you are more advanced. Those methods can apply to all of you. So by the end of this workshop, we hope you'll have a better understanding of Chinese grammar and feel confident in your ability to apply what you have learned today. Okay, so great. Some of you are already talked about because people think Chinese grammar are quite simple and straightforward. That's the word I heard a lot. And then after they learn a few more time, they find that it's not every grammar is not that clear and distinct. That's the first complaint we heard a lot. Why Chinese grammar cannot just be as clear and distinct as people told me? Yes. So a lot of you have shared, right? You think Chinese grammar probably are simpler than English. Like, why so? We totally understand. The first thing is it's lies in Chinese sentence structures. So we know English is so famous for its complicated structures. You can just add like a lot of elements together, right? So usually we describe English sentence structure as a tree. So it's the main point, and you can have a lot of branches. You can add elements, right? A lot of like that, whose, those kind of things, right? But Chinese, usually when you translate those English sentences into Chinese, one huge sentence would be breaking into 5 Chinese sentences, but each sentence is straightforward and very short. So we call it like bamboo, like Chinese bamboo. It's like very straight and one section after other section and so on. So that's why a lot of people think like Chinese grammar could be very easy, and that is true. And the second part, why people think Chinese grammar is very easy is because there's no inflections in Chinese, right? Like, which means there's no tense, no conjugations, no case, no number. Those are like Chinese students when they learn English or German or French, like their nightmares. But that's like good news for people who want to learn 中文, to learn Chinese. So we all know, like, for example, I, me, my, those are just 我 in Chinese, 我, or the same for you, your, they, them. And we also know there's no complicated first conjunctions in Chinese, right? So like, for example, all those, it's just one word, 去, it doesn't matter, 去 in Chinese. And we do have a few words which shows like kind of like past tense in Chinese, but it's also not necessary sometimes. So if you omit that, that's also okay. So probably those are the 2 major points why a lot of people think Chinese grammar is easier than English. And it is definitely true. But here, I'm going to tell you today, it's not as simple as it seems. While the rules of Chinese grammar are indeed simple, like this, really just a little bit, you just need to learn a little bit. There are a lot of exceptions, but we have like a lot of exceptions. So, but as a teacher, right, telling you this is not to discourage you at all. But I just want you to set up the right expectation when you get started, or you're at the plateau of making progress. I want you to have to learn with an open mind and attitude. Like, so to think it this way, think of it as imitating. So when you learn, when you're having classes, when you like learning grammar points, to think it as imitating the instructions rather than fighting with them. Rather than asking why this doesn't fit into the Chinese grammar, you just written on the book. So I want to tell you, remember this, like the more you can accept the exceptions, the better you'll learn. And that's really our first suggestion to anyone who wants to learn Chinese to fluency. Like, this is the very first suggestion we want to give. So it is easy, but it's also so flexible. There's a lot of exceptions. So what we need is an open mind attitude and to accept all those exceptions and follow and imitate a lot. Okay, so let's move to the second one. Like, this is also we heard a lot during our past over a decade of teaching. It's like a lot of people, they really pay great attention to grammar, which is super good. Like it is, right? But the thing is, like, they think if they can learn grammar well, they can speak Chinese well. Is that true? Let me explain. So I want to show you, when we talk about language ability, it applies to any foreign language learning, especially to Chinese as well. It's not just about grammar. It also includes vocabulary, pronunciation, spelling, writing, speaking, logic, and pragmatics, especially the 2 parts in the end, logic and pragmatics, how you can really express your will in a logic and a suitable way in that certain situation, under that certain situation is very important. So that all those components make up your overall language proficiency. So some of you might already taken a language assessment with GoEast, right? Like when you first started, if you're not total beginner. So our language consultant, when they do this with you, it's like actually to give you a whole picture of your all your language ability, right? If you can recall that. So that's like how you determine if your language is ability is good or not. So of course, grammar is crucial, but it's not enough. So the second suggestion we want to give you when you start learning or when you are trying to make great progress is like mastering Chinese is not just about learning grammar. The most important, more important, it is like the key is to also applying it in real life situations. So this is very important. It doesn't matter if you learn vocabulary or grammar or writing anything, like you need to use it in real life situations. You need to create those kind of environment to test, to practice, to see if you can really do it. So it doesn't matter how good you are on like the app or the all those kind of flashcards. Those are the first steps, the foundation. But the real thing is like in real life, in real practice. So therefore, our goal is we really encourage you to focus on using the grammar you learn. Now, instead of just memorizing rules and patterns or just answer the grammar questions. This way, you will improve your overall language abilities, and soon enough, you will be speaking Chinese with ease. That's our ultimate goal, isn't it? So those are two suggestions we want you to take away from today's workshop and really use to guide in your language learning. Okay, so next one, let's move to the fun part. So we want to introduce you to some beginner level principles. Some of you might have learned those things throughout the course, but today, like you're kind of like to see it from another perspective. So it's like a great review lesson for you. So for the beginners, probably like it's also a great introduction to get you started. So we talked about how flexible and how simple Chinese grammar is. And I'm so happy. A lot of you already mentioned how important word order is, right? Or placement in the thing. It is. So if you really want to spend a lot of time in learning Chinese grammar, the most important thing you need to pay attention to is word order. Because all those things, the inflections, the case, the tense, the numbers, they don't matter that much in Chinese, but word order is super important. It can really change the meaning of the sentence, or it will make like people just don't understand you. So that's a super important part you need to pay attention to. But don't worry. So today we're going to go over we're going to show you how can we explain those kind of word order or like Chinese grammar point to you in a very clear and easy to follow way. So you can learn grammar with ease. So let's look at some examples first. Okay, so 3 words here. 学, to learn. 我, I. 中文, Chinese. How would you put it into a sentence to say I learn Chinese or I am learning Chinese? Okay, you can speak the answer or type in the chat box using the number 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or you can type in the Chinese word if you can. I'll give you a few seconds.
学中文。
好的，我听到有人说我学中文。David 说3、1、2。然后一放说我学中文。Safian， 你好，很高兴看到你 Safian。然后 Larissa 说我学中文。约尔也说我学中文。Mary 和 Terry 说3、1、2。非常好，非常好。Okay, so all of you give me the correct answer. 非常好. And that's the first good news. It's the most basic sentence structure in Chinese. It's like the rest of most of the languages out there in the world. It follows the subject, verb, object, which means somebody does something, right? Somebody do something, this kind of structure. So it is most languages like that. But I don't know if you know Japanese. Japanese is different. Anyone speaks Japanese here? So Japanese uses the subject, object, verb order, right? But I really think like languages are fascinating, just so interesting and so different, such a variety. And I don't know about your mother tongue, if it is different. Okay, so this is a very interesting, the basic structure. Okay, let's do one more example. Okay, let's do one more practice. Still, 吃 to eat. 我爱米饭 rice, which is the most popular food in China, especially the southern part. 米饭. So how would you say I eat rice or I'm eating rice? Larissa 说我吃米饭 David 说我吃米饭 Mira 说我吃米饭非常快的 I can't even follow Mary 和 Terry 还有 Ronnie 也说3、1、2很好Sophia 我吃米饭很好非常好 So this is a very basic structure in Chinese 很好 Okay, but let's add some spice to it. Okay, so how do you express time in a sentence in Chinese? So here we have 晚上 evening, 晚上 evening. So how can you make up a sentence saying I learn Chinese in the evenings? I learn Chinese in the evenings. Okay, still the same. You can speak it out loud or you can type it in the chat box. Mira 说晚上我学中文 Larissa 也说晚上我学中文 Ronnie 说4、3、1、2晚上我学中文很好 David 也说我学David 说我学晚上中文David is different from the rest everyone so far 我学晚上中文David 然后 Mary 和 Terry 说 sincere Grant give me 2 answers in one sentence So it could be either 晚上我学中文 or 我晚上学中文Jane 说3、4、1、2以放说我晚上学中文谢谢大家 And I'm happy to see there's 3 answers here actually you guys give me right 3 answers here first is 晚上 most people choose this one 晚上我学中文 And then we have another answer provided by Grant it's 我晚上学中文我晚上学中文 Okay And then there's a third one, which is 我学晚上中文我学晚上中文 Okay, so let me give you the answer. Okay, so 2 out of those 3 are both correct. So you can say 我晚上学中文 or 晚上我学中文为什么 Why? So the sentence structure here is remember we don't really have like words indicating about tense in Chinese, right? So which means the time words become super important in Chinese. Because it's that important, so we put it, the word order we use is we put it at the very beginning, very close to the subject. So it could be either before the subject or right after the subject. Okay, so that's the thing we need to remember. Okay. Great. So let's do another practice then. So let's one. 去 to go. 我公司 company. 明天 the time word here is 明天 tomorrow. So how would you explain like I will go to the company tomorrow. 说
去公司
好的Tom 说了很好然后看到 Grant 非常快我明天去公司 David 也说明天我去公司 Larissa 说明天我去公司 Ronnie 说4、3、1、2明天我去公司很好好的now everybody 都是对的非常好 Great So let's make it even harder okay So time words is important How about place Where should we add a place word? Okay, sorry. Time, not like, let's make it even more difficult challenges. How about we have multiple time words, like here? So we have like, here we have 5月1号 the date, 对不对 2023年 the year, 8点 the time unit, 还有晚上Now this is a real challenge. So how would you say like how would you put those time together? 看到 Larissa 说2023年5月1号8点晚上8点晚上 put 晚上 in the very end Larissa and Mira give us the general rule already year month day time and 我们看一下 Mary 和 Terry and Denise Denise 很好 Okay we have different answers here 非常好Mary 和 Terry 说是3、4、1、2所以是2023年晚上 5月1号8点，然后 Denise 说是4213晚上8点，5月1号2023年。好，我们再看一下还有没有别的。David 说了新的 ，David 说了晚上8点，5月1号2023年Sapphire 说2023年5月1号8点晚上不是晚上8点，Larissa corrected herself 晚上8点Grant 也说我2023年5月1号晚上8点我会去工作然后 David 说晚上8点5月1号2023年Okay, this is really harder, Like, let me tell you the correct answer. So would be 2023年 the year 5月1号the date 晚上 like the section of the date like 晚上 and then the specific time 8点 Okay, after I announcing the right answer, did you find the rule here, the principle here? What do we do it, right? We from big time unit to small time unit. Okay, so this is another grammar rule principle we want you to remember. As a lot of the Chinese thing apply from the big unit to small details. So this doesn't just apply to time. It also applies to places if you want to talk about. So like the places of go east, for example, you start from the biggest location, which is on the earth, right? And then the next one is 中国 and then next one the city, Shanghai, and next one the road, 长乐路, and next one the floor, 七楼, and next one the room, right? Those kind of places. 很好. Okay. Let's give it another try then. Okay, so let's like another try for the one I just mentioned. How about place? We just mentioned place applies in the same rule. It will be applied. So let me give you the place here. So how do you use the place? 在 go east, 在 to be at a place. So how would you explain I learn Chinese at the go east, or I used to learn Chinese at go east, or I'm learning Chinese at the go east, and or I will learn Chinese at the go east 都可以Where do you put the place word? 好的，我看到 Ronnie 说了3412我在 Go East 学中文这是 Ronnie Mira 你想说吗 Mira, do you want to speak? 好的。
It's okay to say 我学中文在 Go East.
Mira 说我学中文在 Go East. 好的，这是你的回答。It's very like good to provide your answer. 很好。夏威尔说Sapphire 说我在 Go East 学中文 Larissa 也说我在 Go East 学中文Denise 说3412我在 3412我在 Go East 学中文 Jane 也是 Mary 和 Terry 也是David和 Mira 是一样的我学中文在 Go East 我们有2个回答 We have 2 answers 很好好我们来看一下好不好the correct answer 正确的答案是我在 Go East 学中文Unfortunately Mira 我们不说我学中文在 Go East 为什么 So let's rule the special the like the basic the third basic rule like the most important place very different from English so we put the place before the verb before the action that's very important in Chinese so we not like English we can put it in the very end in Chinese we put place comes first okay so time comes the very first close to the subject then place comes before the action so that's the rule here okay
不可以说在 Go East like 校园里学习中文
在 Go East 校园里学习中文就在 Go East 我学中文那this one
I meant to put 在 Go East first yeah like 在 Go East 里我学中文吗
great so this one like her it's a very good question so can we put the place at the very beginning we actually talked about this just yesterday with Michael 老师 So Chinese is very, very, very flexible. So this one, it could work in a situation when people ask you, what are you doing? Like, why you're here at Go East? And then you want to ask, like, emphasize, like in here, I'm doing this. I'm not teaching here. I'm not like trying to like wandering here. I actually do something. Or people want to ask, like, where exactly are you learning Chinese? Like you want to emphasize it is at Go East. So that's the other rule when we learn to a little bit like more advanced. If you want to emphasize something in Chinese, you are okay to place this thing just at the very beginning. So this is one of the exceptions. 是可以的. But when you first get started, this one has to stick to your mind. Place a subject, place verb, object, place before the action. Do not put the place in the very end, because this kind of mistake, people won't understand you. Like people on the street won't understand you if you put it in the very end. 好，很好的问题，谢谢。好 ，But this exercise， 我们再试一个。OK。This one, Larissa 这么快，他在学校参加考试，参加 to take something, to join something， 参加考试 exam 考试啊，他在学校参加考试啊，3、4、1、2，好的，我看到了 ，Denise、Ronnie 啊，都是对的，很好，然后都是一样的，我先不说对还是错 ，Larissa 说他在学校参加考试啊 ，Mary 和 Terry 啊 ，Mary 和 Terry 是4、3、1、2，在学校。在学校 put 在学校 in the very beginning 在学校we emphasize, right? If you really want to emphasize a place, it's also acceptable for more advanced grammars. But when you first get started, let's put it after the subject, before the verb. 很好，很好。OK， 非常好，非常好。So I'm happy to see this, really good. So I'll make it harder, okay? So how about if we combine time and place together in a sentence, where do you put those word order? What would be the correct word order? So now we have 晚上 we have the ghost, and we still 学中文 我学中文 So how about those two?
晚上在Go East 学中文。
晚上我在 Ghost 学中文 Thomas 说Ronnie 很快 Ronnie 说5、3、4、1、2 5、3、4、1、2晚上我在中文if I even translate the Go East 去东晚上我在去东学中文Larissa 说我晚上在 Go East 学中文很好Mira 说晚上我在 Go East 学中文晚上我在 Go East 学中文好的很好我们看看答案好不好 Let's see the answer 答案对 So we saw two versions here and then two versions are both correct 我晚上在 Go East 学中文晚上我在 Go East 学中文the reason why are two versions is because the time word right it's very close to subject but it can be before or right after subject the most important here is time words actually comes before the place words because place words is placed before the action while time words are very close to the subject so the two patterns here are like here right we combine those two together one more practice how about this one we have the same thing like we're doing a 考试to take exam and then but here we have 在学校 we also have 明天这个是什么Ronnie 说3142 3142明天我们在学校考试Denise 是1324我们明天考试在学校然后我看到有 Larissa 说明天我们在学校考试我们明天在学校考试OK 好那我们看看 Mira 说明天我们在学校考试我们看看我们的答案我们的答案是这样明天我们在学校考试我们明天在学校考试So I saw one person still put 在学校 in the very end Okay remember place words we don't put it in if or and in the sentence in Chinese. We put it before the verb. We put it before the action. 这个一定要记住啊 that's very important. 好 so voila. So here are all the basic sentence structure you need to know for level 1 grammar or beginner grammar to get you started conversational. So we did a great job. So those are all the key parts. Okay, 非常好. And I think you guys are doing so well. So let's add more difficulty to that. So those are basic ones. So now I'm going to introduce you those exceptions. Okay, some very key important exceptions might like really blow your mind, but it just is perfectly acceptable in Chinese. So those were called special word orders and structures. Let's see some examples together. So first, an easy one. We have 大, big. We have 很, very. We have 上海. So we just want to say Shanghai is big. How would you say that? 2、3、1，上海很大，上海很大。有人在说上海很大 ，Ronnie 也说2、3、1啊 ，David 说上海很大。是的，还有吗？所以米尔说很大上海，很大上海。We have Mirror's always like give us like a unique special ones answers 很好 Mirror 那其他人 Denise 231 Jane 231很好好so yeah actually Xavier 很好上海很大 actually the correct answer is 上海很大上海很大上海很大why this is a special one is like because you find it here like a lot of people were like what how could this be a legitimate sentence what there's no verb in a sentence how could it be a legitimate sentence but let me tell you this is like perfectly acceptable in Chinese so this is actually the very first special word order you need to know is in Chinese subject but you have to have an adverb here okay you have to have an adverb here and then plus an adjective so like something is like something and then vary a lot a little bit and then the adjective all is perfectly correct in Chinese this is the special word order I know for a lot of like a German or French as the first language students this is like unacceptable. But remember, we talked about the expectation, right? The first suggestion is like when you learn in Chinese, you need to be open-minded and flexible. Just like you can't rely on the grammar rules of your mother tongue, but instead, we encourage you to embrace the unique structures of Chinese, and you will have a lot of fun. How about we do give it another try for the special word order? So we have 好吃 delicious, tasty. We have 非常 very, extremely, and we have the 中国菜 Chinese food. 你说什么？中国菜
好吃。
很好。我听到有说中国菜非常好吃Larissa, Narrator, Jane, Denise, Ronnie 都写了中国菜非常好吃你们同意吗 ？Do you agree？ 中国菜非常好吃。
一定。
Mira 也说是2、3、1还有 David 非常好，很好。So this is the very first special word order you need to know to get started. Let's give it let's see another example. So how about this one? We have 他 we have 岁 which means years old, and we have a number 11. How can you show like this little girl? She's 11 years old. 看到1、2、3、1、2、3，她11岁她11岁。看到了David 很好，都是汉字Jane 也说1、2、3，她11岁，她11岁，非常好。Still no verb here, right? And not just no verb, like no adjective, nothing here. So this is the second special word order we want you to know. So it's called like two nouns together. So like here is actually a pronoun 他 and then even a number word, right? 11岁。And the other example I want to show you is this one. This is also perfect, acceptable in Chinese. 今天星期四今天星期四 two nouns 今天星期四。So this is the second special structure we want you to take away today. And let's another example. This is very important. Let's pay great attention. This is a key grammar point for the whole level 1 course. Okay. How would you explain what did she say, or what does she want to say? Those kind of things in Chinese. 132，我看都是132。他说什么？他说什么？我看 Larissa 也说他说什么？很好，很好。This is a bit out of my expectation because we saw so many beginner students actually would say 什么他说 because this is perfect grammar in English, right? What does she say? What first? You always start with those words. But in Chinese, like we say 他说什么？非常好，大家都是对的。Let's do another one. Maybe let's do another one. Let's one. 你 you 去 go where? 哪儿？How about if we want to ask where do you go? Where are you going to? 132，你去哪儿？你去哪儿？非常好，非常好。Okay, great. So, this structure is very, very important in Chinese. The reason I want you to remember this is like it's kind of the foundation of you ask questions in Chinese. So, you guys all see this, right? So, the thing is like in Chinese, we don't really change the order of your answer, your statement to ask questions. Instead, the rule is how you state, how you ask. Like you say, like, right? Like if you answer like, I'm going to a place. So you just, with the answer part, the place part, you use the question word, 哪儿, or 我说什么什么, I said blah, blah, blah stuff. And let's do the real part. You replace this with the word 什么. So it's like in Chinese, we think about like the answer, and then we like kind of like take away the answer part in using the word. So the same thing is, do you want to ask like what's the date today? What's the date today? So your answer would be today, the date, right? And then you use the question word 几，今天几号？今天几号？ So those are the very important ones in Chinese grammar, the level 1 especially. So of course there's more than that. We just give you the 2 examples of this part. So let's do one last practice just to see if you understand all of this so far. So we have 是 yes, 意思 meaning, 这 this, and 什么 what. How would you say what's the meaning? Thomas 说这是什么 ？Mary 和 Terry 说这个Jane 也说了 ，Larissa 说这是什么意思？什么意思？Denise 说4132 4132 Denise 说这是意思什么？这是意思什么 ？Denise 有一个对David 说这意思是什么？这意思是什么？然后Zephyr 说这是什么意思？这是什么意思？The most standard one is actually 这是什么意思？这是什么意思 ？David 说这意思是什么？It can also work. But we saw one is like 这是意思什么？这个不可以because when you really answer it, you will fill in like something 意思。对，好的 ，So 非常好，大家。So congratulations. So you have finished the level 1 key grammar points with me so far. So you understand it. You did a little bit of mechanic. We call it more mechanic practice. And it's really good. So those are the key grammar points. But of course, like if you're a beginner or if you want just to check if you know all the 4 grammar for the beginner courses, we actually prepared a full list for you to self-check. So for those Go students who participate today, we will make sure to send to you for sure. And if you are the ones who register with us with your email for this event, we will send to you as well. But if you're watching the live or you haven't give us your email, please message to our Dan 老师 and if you need this one, and he will make sure to send this to you. 好的。So I just congratulate you on like really following me to understand and practice a little bit about those key grammar points, right? But I want you to take away more than that. So let's just like you just did a few with me. I want you to apply those kind of learning into more in the future. So I want to give you what are the best ways for you to really learn grammar points, or to really like achieve your goal of speaking Chinese fluently and confidently. That's what we really want to help you to achieve. So a lot of students like came to us like they really worked hard. They have like bought lots of different like grammar points books, or like Wikipedia, those kind of things, grammars. This is very good, but we just want to tell you the first thing is like do not learn grammar by reading grammar books solely. So it's just like when you learn language, you cannot learn the vocabulary by just reading a dictionary. You can't fully grasp grammar rules by just reading about them either. And the other thing is like grammar thing. Like, so my major is linguistics and education. So I have like double majors. For linguistics, they're super fascinated about grammars, right? Universal grammars, like those kind of grammars. But like it is really overwhelming. Like when they like here, right? Like linguistics, they like to write different grammar books for you to understand, and you will just totally get lost because like there's too many rules, and like I said, too many exceptions. So that's really not a good way to learn. Okay, so that's the first thing we want to tell you when it comes to strategy. And second thing, like what we did with you today, the second part, and you all followed, I really appreciate that. And I think you find it's engaging and fun, right? That's kind of the situation in a lot of our classes. And I know you understand all those things I talked about, which is great. But I want to tell you is understanding is not enough. So if at GoEast or anyone who's learning grammar, if like doing this part we just did, we won't stop there. Usually we will continue to do what? Like to achieve a goal, which in GoEast we call it automation. Automation. What is automation? So understanding or doing those exercises all correct with me is not enough. We want you to reach automation, and I'll explain what is automation we meant here. So a lot of the cases, right, if you can see here, it's like you really understand it, right? I get it. I understand. I did my exercise perfectly, like what we did. But in real situations, when you really need to choose to use at a situation, like here, the le, like we're really put the le thing. So you were like, oh, I need to think about it. And in real life, people don't wait, right? Like they won't like give you like to remember all the structures or all the practice we just did, how to do that. So what you need to do is you need to be able to speak it without thinking too much. Of course, like I think some of you might already understand so far. Like, of course, I want to reach this kind of stage, right? But the problem, the difficult part is how, right? Like it is how. So I want to show you here. So on theory, in linguistics, learning a new grammar has 3 stages. First, you learn it effortfully and struggle with it. Like some of you did, right? You really followed me. You saw the example. You really maybe already wrote down the structure I gave you. And when we do the second practice, you might still fall into the misunderstanding. That's totally normal. Okay, you have to go through that stage. Okay, so but after several mechanical practice with me, like we showed here, you probably understand and absorb it and making it a little bit easier. Okay, so let's say second stage, relatively effortless. A lot of you, I know you can do this. A lot of the students can do this either with the teacher's help or without teacher's help. Or like a lot of you can reach this for sure. But the most important stage is, and a lot of people will neglect it, is the automatic stage, is the third stage. It's where you become automatic. It's where when you talk to Chinese people, you don't need to think about the grammar points, the word order, where to put this word. Okay, so let me give you a metaphor, like example, what does mean. So it's like driving a car. First, when you just got your driver license, right? You drive carefully and make mistakes sometimes. then you gain confidence and can focus on driving smoothly. And finally, you can drive like with a lot, like, of course, we don't suggest you doing that, right? But sometimes you're okay to just like talking a little bit to the people, or like, appreciate the scenery because you're so confident and so comfortable, so natural. So this is the last stage you want to reach. And then, of course, like we understand there's 3 stages, so you won't get frustrated when you are staggering talking, but you also know you can't just stop there when you can do exercise correctly. You need to push yourself more. And how can you push yourself more to the 3rd stage? Okay, so there's a few things we want to share with you. So first, some of you attended our Hands workshop, right? So you understand we need to find something called forgettable curve. And so for grammar, it's the same thing. So usually when you learn a new grammar point, especially the special ones, which is like quite against your mother tongue, the efforts you need to make here to reach the 2nd stage is like you will make the grammar point reappear 8 times in 15 days if you want to really linguistic kind of data. So this is the average data. So like within 2 weeks, you have to appear several times. This is how we design our courses. We make sure those kind of key grammar points, it will reappear in the next chapter or in your 2nd day's lesson, and also like again in the next lesson. Of course, you can do this yourself, right? Like you can practice, you can deliberately on purpose using this grammar point again the next day and the 6th day, like those kind of things. And then also like the teachers, when they try to send you a message, they want to integrate the new grammar points to you as well, like those kind of things. You can always do that. So this is the first thing you need to remember. And the 2nd thing is like, we're talking about when you learn grammar, there are 3 aspects of the knowledge you have to learn. First is the meaning of the grammar, right? What does this grammar give you the communicative like function? And 2nd is the structure. So like the one we showed you here, right? You really have a pattern summarized to follow. But the 3rd one is a context. It's like you can use it in different situations. So this is like what we didn't do here today, but what is like actually the most important part after you know the meaning and the structure, you have to practice. Is to practice the grammar in meaningful situations. So if like we talked about time words, right? Where to put the time words so important in Chinese. So probably one task of the meaningful situation we can do together is like we talk about people's schedule, your schedule, the teacher's schedule, your family schedule, your boss schedule, like those ones. So we talk about the schedule of the week, kind of like a bigger plan, like how about the 10 years, like a future dream, like a life, like what, and when you want to achieve those kind of things. So like those in this way, you have to do less practice. Like in this way, you actually really internalize the less word order you've learned. And then you can really, when the next time you're talking to people on the street, you're giving a presentation, you're doing a job interview, you can do this correctly without thinking too much. And that's our goal of helping you learning anything at the GoEast. Great. So that's what I want to share with you today. And I deliberately leave some minutes for you to ask questions. Do you guys have any questions or any comments you want to ask me or Michael 老师 or Dan 老师?
No, not really.
然后Thomas 说没有。其他人呢？其他人怎么样？ Shana 你有问题吗？ How do you feel so far?
It was really informative, and it was like a lot of those words I haven't learned yet, but I could follow, and I appreciate it.
很好，可以那个李智慧说 it's a good way to watch Chinese dramas to learn Chinese grammar. 你喜欢看什么中国电视剧 ？What Chinese dramas do you watch? Like we actually recommended, we recommended like Chinese dramas by our teachers on our YouTube channel, like 8 dramas I think to watch for sure. So I'll answer first, and Michael actually you can add. So usually when we recommend the Chinese dramas to students, the criteria we use to select is we emphasize on like the words or the way they're talking. It's modern language. It's like something you actually use in the daily. So it's not like, you know, because there's a lot of martial arts, right? Or like kind of historical stories. So which those words you can't really use. So that's the first one. And second one, we wanted to use like correct and easy to follow kind of standard language. So the thing is like this applies to everybody, right? Like when in real life, normal people speak, they're not great learning materials usually, because like if you listen to yourself speak, right, you probably have a lot of words like and you go back, you leave ambiguous for people to guess a lot, or sometimes like people don't have logic, like you just don't know, they don't know what they're talking about, or they use the wrong words or anything, they just don't care because there's we're native speakers, right? You can understand me. So overall, like I think Chinese like drama usually people like to watch it like more emphasized for listening and speaking, kind of like real life, right, thing, but it's not a perfect thing for learning grammar, I would say. 好，我看到这边 Grant 在问这一边 is there another grammar rule that fits with that example? 就是 like to mean like doing things, right? Doing things or do one thing and the other thing at the same time.
我会这唱他们所有的歌曲versus 我会是唱他们所有的歌曲。
我学着。Okay. Here, actually, let's 学着 is not a grammar point.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
So,
like,
yeah.
is there a different grammar point that like goes with it?
Yeah. So here, here 学着 together. 我学着唱他们所有的歌曲。Like here 学着 together means one thing. It's like it's a more casual way of thinking of like showing like I'm learning like all there.
Okay.
Yeah. Sophia, 好的，再见。好的。Yeah. So the one you're talking about 一边 the 这 thing is actually we have the 正, right? The other one.
Oh.
Or
Is it a
正
different
在.
character?
Yeah, those are the one you're talking about. But the example you give here, 我学着唱他们所有的歌曲, it's a different grammar point for the word 这. It means you are trying to do something. So for example, it means like you kind of are cautious. You don't know if you can really successful doing that. So you kind of to be humble and saying like I'm trying to learn now, like you know that kind of feeling. 我学着唱他们所有的歌曲. That's a grammar point here.
谢谢。
不客气。Denise 说太感谢了哦，非常好，非常好。那就谢谢，太感谢了。I'm also very impressed. So you do that. Richard 说 I've read that Chinese from different regions in China have different pronunciations and accents. Do people in different regions not know difference in grammar? Okay. Oh yeah, we want to talk about actually dialects in China because it's also fascinating, right? Like we have one standard language which is called Mandarin, what we're teaching now, but we also have over 200 dialects in China, which like some of my like colleagues or like professors from the university I used to work, they're working on to save those kind of dialects as well. And then like yeah, it is very different from pronunciation and vocabulary, yes, and also grammar. So that's why like is very precious to save all those linguistic materials, things like that. But it will affect people when they're using Mandarin, especially like not our generation, but probably a generation above, like my mom. She's still a Chinese, she's also a Chinese teacher, but sometimes I would point out, like, let's way you're talking about, let's just not stand the Mandarin, let's just affected by our dialect. But like I said, right, when you're a native speaker, you're very like you accept a lot of ambiguous and you use context to really understand those. So it doesn't really affect communication. 马来丽说谢谢谢谢不客气。好 Thank you all for those interesting questions as well. So I want to introduce, like, I'm so happy you guys give me so many responses and interaction, and I'm very happy a lot of GOE students joined, and I'm very happy to see our older students and some new students who are considering GOEist. So if you're considering us like the way I said, right now we're just like doing the first two parts. If you want to see how we really help you to reach the third automation stage of learning, maybe you can do a one-on-one class with us to try it. So then if you can you can give a link for you to to just apply for a one-on-one trial lesson with us. So like no string attached, but we really want to show you how our method could work. So like give it a try. I will appreciate it very much. And then the next one would be also very fun. If you are interested in this one, I'm sure you might be interested in the next one. Or if you like I really want to thank Jane here today, right? Because last time Jane said I will bring friends to the event, and today you really bring Terry and Mary, 对不对？谢谢。
Yes, that's right.
Yes,
That's right. That's correct.
So if you know some other learners would be interested in those things, we're very happy to share those expertise for anyone, like really, like, so don't worry, like bring them to the event. Okay, so the next event is also very fun, and we'll have another like now me next one would be 凯蒂老师, but like that's one of the top star at GOEist, probably better than me, all of the founder, but it's really excellent. So we're going to talk about with a lot of like all those experience. All right, we're going to talk about the more general like pitfalls and misconceptions. So we want you to do, like, if you have restarted the Chinese learning, right, like how you can do it efficiently. If you haven't started for too long, how can you learn using those kind of methods, learning more efficiently to save your money? Probably not your priority, but to save your time. That's very important for sure, right? To learn. So remember to sign up for that one. Then if you can give them the sign up link, that'd be great. And we wish to see you again at our weekly event, or like at any of our real one-on-one or small group class. 谢谢大家。好的，那我们
谢谢。
再见。
再见。谢谢。
不客气。
怎么会？哎呦 ，There we go.